Black marble floors, footsteps echo through the villa. Velvet on the drapes, chrome handles on the Skrilla. Ghost in the driveway, tent darker than a secret. The grill splash once, whole room going speechless. Nights been sleepless, been throwing shit together like a genius. The blatant steady cutting up the block to feed the demons. Got many reasons why I feed the fiendish every season. Treat the tech like a salt shaker, leave the street season. I'm a cut product, no additives in the mixture. A brick of pure troops sitting heavy in the picture. Most of these cats airbrush, painted for the camera. I'm rust on the steel, scars baked into the character. Fur collar hanging off the shoulder like a king cake. Old money habits, new money in the briefcase. Cigar smoke curling through the chandelier crystals. Every move has been deliberate, never accidental. Realest fingerprints left behind on the evidence. Realest cracked knuckles earned through fades and experience. Raw like the ocean when the hurricane's spinning. No filters on the water, just survival and ambition. It's the real raw nut cut special. Change the channel if you can't fuck with my level. I keep the block hot enough to twist every metal. The shit I spit is cold enough to scare off the devil. They said don't be a menace, but I'm not in South Central. The boys from my hood moving on presidential. The all black master match the gad in the Hellcat. Keep it fast stacked for when my shorty go mental.
Yo, welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Raw Uncut Podcast, creating uncut conversations for the culture. I'm your host, Rels. Before we get started, let's make sure you guys go like and subscribe to YouTube channel 2920 Network. Make sure you go listen to it on Spotify, Raw Uncut, all capital letters. And make sure you guys just tune in for more content as I'll be dropping it. So my guest, to a lot of people who might not know this, but a lot of people who do know this, I actually have a brother and an actual blood brother. And yeah, so let's welcome him all the way out in Arizona, right? That's where you at, right?
Yep, I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
All right, so welcome my brother Lance Howard. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, God's good. I just thank God for everything He's blessed me with. I woke up, you know, I'm a night owl, so I woke up. I had my alarm set for our stream yard to be ready to go. And I was like, yeah, I hope everything goes smooth. So I'm glad to be on here.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Let's talk about us, man. I mean, normally I interview people, but this is not even really an interview at this point. Let's just talk about like growing up, man. First of all, you're in Arizona now, but you've traveled a lot. You were born in the Bronx, literally up the block from me. So how was it? I'm gonna ask you a question, like a serious question. How was it being young and trying to process the fact that, you know, we both had the same father but different mothers, and we didn't live that far from each other?
Meaning when I still was in New York. I didn't. To me, it was normal, you know, because I had good relationships with you. You know, your mom was always welcoming. Me and you always had fun, even though I could ride a bike and you had a little. What was that thing called? Power wheel?
I had a big wheel.
Big wheel.
That's right.
Yeah, you my big brother, but I'm on a big bike. So we, you know, the love was there. So growing up in the Bronx and moving to Harlem after that, there was no animosity, no indifference. It was just love.
All right, cool. So describe to you, what is it like? Describe our father in your words. Like, what was he to you, and how do you think he impacted the both of us, actually?
I'll start off with myself. Our relationship with our father was a lot different, because when I was 4, I moved away to California with my mother. I don't know how much dad allowed you to be in his life, especially during the time in the 80s during the crack epidemic. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, our father was strung out on crack back in the day, but he used to have me in the crack houses and the dope houses. I'd be in there with people shooting up, sitting on the couch next to me, but I never lost a love for him. But he always treated me fairly. He always treated me righteous, and I loved him. But when I moved away to California with my mother, because things didn't work out in New York or whatever, I had a gap of communication between me and him from age 4 to age 7. So I didn't have any letters. I didn't have any communication whatsoever, no phone calls. And that's tough for a kid during that age, especially during your development years, to deal with. You would go from having your king, your father, right there with you every day, if not every day, every other day. But I saw him on a regular basis living in the Bronx, to nothing. And it's just me and my mom, and I'm in a whole new culture, it was so different that when I moved to California, she was like, okay, before I send you to preschool, I want to teach you how to pronounce words differently, proper, so to speak. So I remember I have a core memory of my mother saying, say the word born. And during that time, I'm straight out of Harlem because I went from Bronx to Harlem. I was like, born. She was like, no, say born. I was like, born. She was like, you know what? You don't worry about it. You'll get it. But when the age of 7 is real key, because that's when my mother got a call from our grandfather, and he had let my mother know that our father got shot. So I went back out to New York. Then we drove up to Boston to the medical center he was at, and that was the first time I saw him in 3 years. And he was a quadriplegic. He was shot in the neck from the head. He was shot in the neck, and he was paralyzed from the neck down. But that's actually when the real relationship began, in my opinion, because he taught me, and I tell this to everybody, all my troops in the military, all my friends, he taught me how to lead from a vulnerable perspective. He taught me how to take losses and still endure. When I was 7, it was really hard for me to see him like that, because I was like, man, this is my hero. Damn. And I would pray every night, God, please let him walk again, blah, 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 But, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. He was out there in that street life. And I truly believe that during our time together, all the way up until when he passed, when I was in my late 20s, he taught me everything not to do. He was like, hey, I messed up in this, I messed up in that. And I would just be sitting there just absorbing it, taking it in. We had a relationship where we could speak the truth and not sugarcoat anything. And I was very grateful for that, because when he passed on to glory, one of the things that even to this day I miss the most is when I'm going through something, or if I'm having a good day, don't matter. I miss hearing his voice and that give me that confidence and reassurance, or at least the understanding. He was very proud of you, very proud of myself. Me and my dad had some crazy conversations that I love, and he respected my opinion. Looking at your relationship with our father, as a kid, I was jealous of it, especially talk about when I moved away, because I remember and this is outside looking in from a kid's logic. Now, as I grew up.
Oh wait, before you finish that, let me explain to the viewers first, because yes, we are brothers. We share the same father, and I don't think people understand. Like, our age gap is not a gap. Like, literally, we are literally 11 months apart. Like, we are both Tauruses. Our birthdays are literally 2 weeks apart, and we're literally the same age before I turn a year older. So if that gives you any idea of what our father was like growing up, I think that sums a lot of that up. So, like, yeah, perspective on everything too, because I feel like your relationship with him and my relationship with him was a lot different. So go ahead and give you my perspective too.
Yeah. And by the way, he also told me about the time your mom caught him with my mom. But that's another story. Oh, Lord have mercy. Our dad was wild. But outside looking in, I remember seeing like pictures of you and him. He was in a wheelchair, of course, during this time. And y'all went to go, as hearing about y'all going to like see wrestling and stuff. And I was like, God dang, man. I said, I want to do that. You know, I was out in California with my mom, so I didn't get those kind of opportunities. But as I got older, things became more clear. I remember during our dad's twilight, I went out to visit him. This is when I was lived in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was still in the Air Force. And I was talking, his health was really bad. He was deteriorating fast, and I went out there to talk to him and just spend time with him. I flew in a JFK, I flew in JFK, took a taxi to the Navy Hotel over there on Staten Island, and it was probably like less than a 2-mile walk. I'll go over there in the morning, stay all night, go back in the morning, get some sleep. And we would just sit there and talk and laugh. And I would go get some food for him or whatever he needed. And I remember one time our father started complaining about you. And I was listening to him, but I already knew what he was going to do. Because people can't help but to compare situations. And he was like, I'm going to imitate our dad. He was like, man, you come out here, you see me more than Tyrell, blah, 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 blah. You come out here from overseas or from different spots and blah, this, that, and the other, and Tyrell right down the block can't see him. And he kept on complaining. And I told him, I was like, Dad, and can I cuss on here? Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, of course. Because I already know what you're going to say too, but go ahead and say it.
I know we talked about it before.
Yeah, absolutely.
He complained a lot about you not coming to see him and this, that, and the other. And by this age, I already know all the shit that he did and all the stuff that he put you through. You know, the days of not being there for you, seeing you and not really engaging with you, not being present in close proximity. So I remember my dad was just bitching, complaining about that. And I said, Dad, shut the fuck up. I was like, shut the fuck up. That's the kind of relationship we had. We could really tell each other the truth with love. And I said, Dad, you're complaining about all the shit he's doing to you. I said, you taught him how to be that way. I was like, how many times did you let him down? How many times did you promise you was going to be there for him and didn't come for him? I was like, you taught him how to be. So now you made your bed, now you got to lie in it, and you're pissed off that he's treating you exactly how you treated him. And that was the basis of that conversation, one of the many conversations during that night. We were sitting out there in his room and drinking Miller High Life and grape soda and some Chinese food or some Jamaican, whatever we decided to get that. But and he was like, yeah, you're right, man. I'm sorry. And he understood. And he understood and he apologized. He apologized for a lot of things. He apologized for everything. And that's one thing I always loved about him was even when he realized he was wrong, he didn't try to hold on to it. He fessed up and manned up and he took accountability. Unfortunately, the damage, was already done, but we still had an opportunity to at least know him,
Mm-hmm. Do you think? Yeah, rest in peace. Absolutely. Do you think that our relationship with him would have been stronger now if he was still around? Because I honestly do think, like, at some point, I probably would have appreciated it a little bit more, and I probably would have been around more. Not at the time when it happened, not at the time when we were growing up, and sadly, not at the time when he passed either. Like, it hurt, obviously, but it was more of a like, it's like, I don't even know how to really describe it. It's like the emotions was there, but the emotions was there, but the love wasn't. If that makes any sense.
I totally understand.
Yeah, so it's like, when he passed, it was okay. So when I found out he got shot, it hurt. When I found out he actually died, it hurt. And I did appreciate, now when I'm older, I realize I did appreciate the times when I did go out there, and spend time with him too. Like, and there was times when it was hard to be out there, and luckily at the time my uncle lived out there at the same time, so I could be like, hey, I'm gonna go see him. You want to go with me? And he'd be like, yeah, no problem. And it makes it a little easier because at the end of the day, he's still our father, and he's still in a wheelchair, and he can't move anything from his neck down. So it does bother you. It does hurt. You know what I'm saying? But, obviously I didn't have the relationship with him that you did. But let me ask you a question when it comes to that too. Do you feel like you actually had closure with him?
Yes. I remember one of the things he told me when I was going through my divorce with my daughter's mom, and I was just in a bad spot, and I was just depressed, and everything seemed surreal. I just felt like I was living in a nightmare. And he called me, leave a message on my home phone at the time, and he like, call me back. And we talked when I got home from work in the evening. And he just listened to me, get shit off my chest. One thing he told me was, it won't be like this always, man. It won't be like this always. And I still remember those words. I even tell my daughter the same thing these days. And that's true, but sometimes you just need the coaching of your father. And that's why fathers are so important. Even though he was quadriplegic, I learned so much from him. He was living in the nursing home on Tompkins Avenue in Staten Island. And I remember he was making more money than me doing a bootlegging DVD business.
Wild. Because if people knew what he was selling, it would be like
he was selling porno too. He was selling porno too. So here's the silver lining. A lot of people think, oh, if somebody's bad, there's everything bad about them. No, we're all human. We're all flawed, especially me. But the things that I got from him during that time, I saw how he knew people. He knew you. He knew this nurse. He knew that. He knew this doctor. He knew them, not just by sir or ma'am or respect. No, he knew their name. He knew what they liked. He knew their little nuances. And I was already a people person, so I know I get that from him. But I took note of that. I was like, man, and I saw how people reacted when they saw him. even if they didn't intentionally come to see him and we were just in the hallway or something, they saw him. He made their life better that day. And that was mind blowing, especially now I think about it. You mean a man in a wheelchair that can't move from the neck down has more joy in his heart than you that got everything. And he just lit everybody up as far as making them laugh, just to be seen, respected, showed them love. He would flirt, you know. We talk about me hitting on the nurses. He get jealous because the nurses was trying to get at me, you know. So and at the same time, I was like, "How you run a bootlegging business and you can't even walk? You can't even move your hands."
Yo,
so that shows
I
influence.
I threw some jokes at him like that a couple of times too. Like, yeah. Influence. I will say this: the thing we get from him, I can say that both of us get from him, is that ability to show up in a room where nobody knows us, but by the time we leave that room, everybody knows us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's obviously that's not a me and you a tourist thing, because I mean, well, it is too, because we're just
you
naturally
and these damn horoscope signs, man.
I'm not really, you know what it is? I'm not really into the whole horoscope thing, but I do know that my sign, or our sign, does it is a lot that pertains to us when it comes to it. But the ability, like you said though, the ability to actually be able to have the similarities from him, although not being around him, is quite remarkable, actually, if you really think about it. Because like, you know, with our aunts is like, when they talk to us, it's almost like talking to him. Like, so it's like, so you know what I'm saying? So it's like the ability to actually be living, breathing people from him, that people are like, they look at us and they're like, you are definitely his kids, like, without even trying and not even being around him like we were either. And it's like, it's crazy though. It's crazy. It's crazy. So
I remember, going back to the closure
hold on,
what
did you learn from him that made you become a father?
So I'll answer that as well inside this. So I remember during part of the closure, I remember my daughter was around 4 years old, and I was like, you know, I wanted to take her to see her grandfather, you know. So me and my daughter did a road trip from Omaha, Nebraska. I like to drive. I like road trips. I like exploring, partially because I grew up on the Greyhound bus going back and forth across the country. But I remember me and my daughter took a road trip out to New York, came to see you. You got to see Lene, and we went out to Staten Island to see our father. And he got to see his granddaughter, you know, and that was big. That was huge for me. And he knew I was good in my life. He knew you were good in your life. And I remember having that conversation with him, and this is part of the closure. I remember having a conversation with him after the trip, and I went back home, and months passed, and his health started to deteriorate real bad, and he would actually go unconscious, and they would bring him back. And he was like, man, so when I went out to see him next time in Staten Island, the last time I saw him, he was like, man, I told him, if I go under next time, don't bring me back. And I was like, I understand, and I respect your decision. But I disagree, but I understand. I know you're tired, because his health was so bad where, I mean, he was going under, and to try to resuscitate him, and he already saw his grandbaby. He know his sons were good in life. He came here, he did what he came here to do. And he taught me so much. And leading into your next question, how my relationship with my father or his example affect me being a father. It helped me so much because he taught me everything not to do. He taught me everything not to do, and that's where true wisdom comes in. Like anybody can live a great life if everything goes perfect, but how do you react when life is hitting you in the mouth? How can you actually adjust to situations where there's pressure and you need to figure something out? So he taught me everything that he did as a father. I didn't just do the opposite. I took it 10 times further because I knew he loved us. But addiction, crack is a hell of a drug, man. Speaking why I don't do drugs. I can't do it. I'll drink, but I ain't gonna do no drugs because I seen how the drugs during the 80s, crack in particular and all other shit, messed up generations of my family. I have aunts and uncles that was on this shit, and they just didn't care about nothing but that. So, and then I hit with my father. I'm like, I'm going all in with my daughter. So my daughter had the best childhood ever. I look at her and I would always tell her, I was like, man, and I'm saying this in my head, I wish I was my father. That's how I raised my daughter. I wish I was my father because I was always present. I taught her how to walk. I gave her first book when she was an infant and showed her how to fold the pages and look through it. Taught her how to read. You know, I mean, I taught her how to write, do math, and you see yourself in there. And man, it's just a beautiful. Being a father is the greatest thing on earth because you are the closest thing to God for them.
Yeah.
That's why a child will react to a father's instruction better than a mother's instruction. The mothers are there to nurture and do what they do, but children without fathers, it destroys a nation. It destroys a people. So I love that he taught me so much about, and even when he was there, I appreciated it. And he had compassion and love and empathy. But man, being a father, it's nothing I won't do for my daughter. She will never have a need in this world, but she will always have accountability. Always have accountability. I give you love, but you do wrong, you might not see the sun. I'm just saying.
Nah. Your daughter is probably one of the most energetic, brightest people I know, man. Like, you and her mom did a great job raising her. Absolutely, I will say that she's on track to do great things in life. Like, just got to stay focused and other things too. But But I will say this. Like, speaking about our father, like, I will say this. Every moment that I did spend with him was never a bad one. Like, especially, and I hate to say this, but I feel like it needs to be said. Him getting shot and being paralyzed turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
Oh yeah.
Because who knows?
I wrote that in some of my poems I wrote. Yeah.
Because who knows where he would have been, if he even would have been.
He would have been.
Yeah. Who knows where he would have been? Because we probably would not even know where he was. If you be honest about it, like it put him in a position where he had to be grounded for us to know where he was at all the time. And then and at that point, it's like that's when he was like, okay, look, this is where I get where you coming from when he like complained, because it's like he's mad now that I'm not going to visit him, but it's always like, but it's also like, now I'm available, you need to be available too, and it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So like family at this point, family is everything. So
Mm-hmm.
Let's delve off of that for a second, because you have an interesting life too as well. You went to the Air Force at a very young age. So now tell me, what was life like in the Air Force when you started? What was that like? Like how was life different once you got there?
Life in the Air Force. I mean, thank God that look, I got to speak about leading up to the Air Force before I even get to that, because I was living life like how can I say this? I barely graduated high school. I dropped out of high school. I went back. I had an epiphany. I was living in West Palm Beach, Florida at the time. And I was skipping school that day, of course, because I was probably gone like 6 months from missed a whole semester. I was sitting by the intercoastal water. I was sitting by the intercoastal waterway in Florida, West Palm Beach, and I was just looking at the beautiful sight, and I was just thinking about the future and what I want my future to look like. And I became afraid, horrifyingly afraid, because I realized I couldn't get to the future that I envisioned for myself without an education. And I went from all F's and zeros on my report card to all A's with a couple B's here and there. That was during my 10th grade year. So I went back to school. I had to go to night school to get more credits. Then I also had to go to summer school to get those credits. So from 10th grade, from 9th, all through high school, I was in summer school. Let's put it that way. And I had a job, and I had a girlfriend, and I was still in the streets doing stupid stuff, which is ridiculous. But I got to the point where I had a realization. I was like, if I had done this early on in my high school career, I would have had all A's, 4-point whatever, been full ride scholarship to anything. I lost a lot of opportunities. And I was always a good student, but I know the lifestyle that I did have, I struggled with a lot of family issues, depression, whatever you want to call it. I just said it wasn't a toxic household. Going forward, I went back to school, and then I was like, all right, I didn't get enough good grades to get my GPA high enough to go to college. I don't have any money for college. I didn't know about loans and grants and stuff like that, which is cool, but I didn't want to do that anyway. My goal was I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be an undercover cop specifically. Why? Because I grew up during the 80s and I watched Miami Vice, and look, that was everything. Even to this day, if I had to cosplay, I'm being Sonny Crockett. I'm just telling you right now. I got the Ferrari, I got the girl, I got the that was my thing. So I remember I went up to the West Palm Beach Police Department, and I was like 16 years old, and I was asking them, how old do I have to be a cop? And they're like, oh, you got to be at least 21. So I did the math. I was like, but I graduate and I'm 18. What the fuck am I do between 18 and 21? And I'm like, bro, I'm in the projects down in West Palm Beach. They call it the Bean at the time. It don't exist no more. They tore it down so fucking bad.
Oh wow.
They tore that shit down just like they did Chicago with the Robert Taylor homes and all that. But they tore that down. But I was like, okay. And this is how God works. He always kept me around my aunts, Niecy, and Barbara when I was young in the summertime, and they exposed me to the military lifestyle. So I remember Barbara would take me to Shaw Air Force Base during the summer. We work out at the base gym. She'd take me to her work center. She introduced me to folks. let me know their ranks and what they do and their responsibility level. We volunteered. She was very pivotal in my younger life, and even now, she's a mother to me. Love her to death, and I owe her everything. But I remember being around the Air Force and the Marines all the time. You know, Nisi as well. She would take me to her base, and I'd watch her do parades, and it'd be on Quantico base in Quantico in Virginia, etc. So I was like, you know what? I want to look at the Air Force since I can't become a cop until I'm 21. I'm probably going to get killed in the hood between 18 and 21. During that time, I wasn't expecting to live past 25. I was not expecting to live past 25. And going forward, I was like, okay, let me go talk to an Air Force recruiter. I talked to the Navy recruiter. Didn't like that because I learned about the hot bunks. And if you don't know what hot bunks are, just go look at it. I didn't want to be in a submarine because, I got to move around. And I talked to my Air Force recruiter. Everything went smooth. And then I got in. I signed up when I was 17 years old, December 19th, 2000. December 19th, 2000. Was that it? Yeah, December 19th, 2000, I signed up for the Air Force.
Right around Christmas time.
Yeah. My mom had to sign me off because I was underage.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in May of 2001. 9/11 happened. And then I went to...
Oh, snap. I forgot all about that.
Mm-hmm. Then October 24th, 2001, I went to basic training. Killed it in basic training. Learned a lot about myself. Tech school, technical training for my career. I was being a cop. I was doing great, but I had a discipline problem. I started to feel myself. Well, I didn't want to listen to my peers who were in charge of me. So you got a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds in charge of each other in a rank structure, and you're adjusting to the military, especially me. I like to talk shit and pop jokes and do what the fuck I want to do. My discipline outside of basic training was lacking. But that was my fault because I wanted the attention. I wanted to be. I was out of pocket. I almost got kicked out in tech school, and then I realized I was like, look, you have nothing to go back to, bro. You have nothing to go back to, so you better tighten up, or you're done. And I remember I went to basic training with like $3 in my pocket, $2 or $3. And I was like, I ain't going back. I literally turned the switch on. I was compliant with everything. I was studying hard. I was helping folks. I stayed in the gym. And I remember my leaders were like, Airman Howard, you're really different now. What's going on? He's like, you're like a model airman. I was like, yeah, man, I apologize for how I was acting before. And I took accountability and just turned around. And people say things like, oh, I'm trying to do this. Nah, it's a decision. Anything you want in this life, if you want it, it's a decision, and it happens like that. It's not a gradual process, because once you decide, the grind to get to goals may be a process, but decision is instant. And once I did that, I was the best of my career field. I went from my first base I went to was Wyoming. Base was called F.E. Warren Air Force Base, Wyoming. It was a nuclear missile facility that we would go out to different parts of the states around Wyoming and guard the nuclear missiles. Then I did that for 10 months, went to Korea, did air base defense, law enforcement, security, whole bunch of stuff. Rocked it out there. I learned how to shoot every gun known to man, learned how to blow up stuff with mortars. They sent me to school for a lot of different things. I had my own SWAT team when I was like 20 years old. So I was trained in hand-to-hand combat, shooting, sniping, all kind of stuff. After that, got married, went to Italy, Aviano, Italy, where my daughter was born. Rocked it out there, did law enforcement security. Started to get more into the technical aspects of the security components, meaning I was in charge of allowing access to the nuclear facilities, directing forces to respond to alarms, etc. Still was doing my SWAT, small weapons and tactics stuff. And then I made a pivotal decision. I thank God that I always had the vision or the fortitude to look into the future and plan. And that's where I think a lot of our youth, not just our youth, even our adults now, lack vision to plan for the future. So I think I was like 22 years old, 23. My daughter's born when I was 23, so I was probably like 22. I started looking at different career fields I could use outside the Air Force. Because I was like, look, I'm a cop. My body eventually is going to break down. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. Let me figure out what I can do that I'll also have a passion for outside of the military. So I started looking at what the military would offer me to where I could fit in that vein. I found out healthcare management. They call it health services manager. That was the Air Force specialty code, the career. And I did the interviews, went through the whole process, got accepted. Everybody in my career field hated on me because they were grooming me for the highest rank of that career field. They were like, Sergeant Howard, you already made chief. All you got to do is just stay here and do it. I was like, at the time, I was raising my daughter by myself, man. You know, her mom was working swing shifts, night shifts. I had a day job in our vehicle section at the time, and it was just me and my daughter, which was a blessing. But I was basically raising my daughter by myself. But that is one of the reasons why me and my daughter are so close to this day. So fast forward, I got into healthcare management, did that 14 years in the Air Force. After that, 6 years as a cop, ran the civilian clinic. I mean, the Air Force gave me so many opportunities, but at the same time, I created a lot of opportunities. I grinded. And anybody that's in the military knows when you do a good job, guess what's coming? More work. More work. Oh, guess what? You're going to have less time. Oh, guess what? You're going to have more troops. You're going to have more responsibility. You're going to have more stress. But I was young and in the game. And when I finally retired, I knew it was time for me to retire. My homeboy, I'll end with this. My homeboy was like, one of my mentors when I was in Japan. He's like, Sergeant Howard, you know the last 2 years of the Air Force, your career, are going to be the hardest in your career. And I'm like 30-something at the time. I think I'm like 31, 32. Get out of here, man. I was like, the last 2 years? I'm going to be good. I ain't worried about nothing. I'm at the end of the race. He was like, all right. He was like, think about this. What's the hardest part of a marathon? He was like, yeah, the last 2 miles. He was like, it's the same thing in your career. I didn't want to hear it. I was like, nah, because I was like, just thinking about retirement after you've been rode hard and put away wet is exhilarating. And let me tell you, he was right. My last 2 years, last 3, I was in DC. I would go back. I was stationed at Bolling Air Force Base, but I also had responsibilities at the Pentagon and at Joint Base Andrews because I was the career field manager. Man, the last 2 years were tough. When I crossed the finish line, I didn't run across the finish line. I dragged myself across the finish line. I wasn't out of gas. I was on fumes. I didn't think I was ever going to get there. Those were the longest 2 to 3 years. It was very gratifying because I gave it my all and I finished strong, and I had a lot of troops go on to do a lot more successful things and accomplish bigger goals for themselves and their families and the Air Force. But man, it took everything out of me. I was done. And then I understood what he was saying.
So what was the most important lesson you learned from being in the Air Force?
The most important. Damn, give me a second. Hold on. Let me at least. All money ain't good money. And I'll say this. Meaning, just because, let's talk about war. Let's talk about what the military is about. Mm-hmm. It's not just about glitz and glamour. By the time I was 21, I had already been responsible for the death of 5 people, the wounding of 17 to 20 other people, and that's when I was a cop. I was working in Camp Bucca, Iraq, and I had given orders during one of the riots to actually calm the riot down because they were on the verge of breaking out of prison. You had 12 compounds. Each compound had probably 800 detainees. The Al-Qaeda, all of that stuff was in there. All the terrorists, suicide bombers, you name it. Mm-hmm. So during that time, people asked me, I remember my wife at the time, not at the time, but later on, my wife asked me, and she's like, how did you feel when you took life? Gave orders to take life and had other people also doing a lot of damage. I was like, I didn't feel nothing. But I remember when I got my first anxiety attack. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was because I used to drink Red Bull. Mm-hmm. I was like, I just need to stop drinking Red Bull at lunch. Years later, my psychologist was like, no, Sergeant Howard, that was an anxiety attack. and then it was after going through treatment, I got diagnosed with combat PTSD. So all money ain't good money. The Air Force is great, but guess what? You may have to answer a call of duty to where it can have long-term effects. Mm-hmm. One thing I don't wish on anybody is PTSD. It's something that will always be with you, and it is torment. It's spiritual torment, mental torment. You aren't in control of how you react to things internally. So you may look calm on the surface, but you're in hell on the inside. So you break it, you bought it. The military takes care of me for that, thank God, the VA. But all money is not good money. And I pray for all the veterans out there because I'm very active in my healthcare. So I go to my appointments, I see my counselors. I did years of counseling. I remember there was a time where I actually forgot the time period in my life where I actually forgot I had done all those things.
Mm.
And that's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was literally on the radio. Hey, go lethal with go lethal force to all my troops out there, because I was in the control center telling them. And they were like, "What you say? Say it again." I said, "You heard me. Go lethal." Next thing you hear, a bunch of shots ringing off everywhere. That was the most quiet. After that, it was the most quiet the prison had ever been. All with the words in my mouth. Now by the orders that I gave, made other people kill people. So now I'm dealing with how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're doing their job. I'm doing my job. But at the end of the day, it's still a burden. It's not a click and a switch because it's not natural. To me, it was natural. But after the smoke is gone and the lights are down, you got to live with that. And I know I was doing it for righteous reasons, but it doesn't. You start thinking about things like, fuck. The families you probably destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a war that you were fighting that was probably over a lie. More effects down the road where the people that you had in your detention facility or prison, they turned into ISIS. You know, so I know I can never show my face in Iraq again or the Middle East. I got
like it's funny you say it, but it's not funny in real life though. But I get what you say.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I remember they tried to put murders on me. They tried to charge me with prisoner abuse. These detainees, they did not like me because I was on their head. I mean, I took care of business and they couldn't compromise me. Literally, all money is not good money. And the Air Force was beautiful, but sometimes you have to pay that price. And a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, you serve your country and you got all these benefits, this, that, and the other. I was like, it ain't even enough. It ain't even enough to deal with. You think I want to live with mental torment, spiritual torment the rest of my life over some money? No. And on the movies, you see people running and gunning. And I was in a couple rides where people was blowing up stuff. They trying to knock your ass out with big ass boulders, shank you when you're inside the prison area. I've been around all that every day. So now you're like, how much money during that time it's great because I was an action junkie. I'm still an action junkie. But your body gets used to that level of stress, that level of cortisol in your system, that level of adrenaline, whatever. But now I was out there with 9 months. You're out there running and gunning for 9 months straight, 2 months of training prior to that. So I'm gone almost a year just doing that. And now I'm expected to come home and just live a normal life. Once that switch is turned on, you can't turn it off. Once you break that glass, it's broken. You can't put that back in. Now you're just doing damage control on how to live with it. But beforehand, you don't know all that shit's gonna happen. You just see the movies. You just see the action, the glory, but they don't show you the side effects. Some movies are actually starting to show a little bit of it now, but like on my worst enemy, I do not wish this condition on anyone. PTSD. Shout out to all my soldiers, veterans, airmen, Marines that have passed. 22 soldiers, 22 veterans a day kill themselves. 22. 22.
On the surface, and it's crazy because on the surface it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is.
22. That's like saying 22. Let's put it in perspective. 22 people that are in the medical field kill themselves a day. That'd be a national. You know, everybody stop. Let's redo this shit. But you know, the people that join the military predominantly are those that are from, you know, poverty. You know, people that need the military. So it's a class thing in one aspect, especially in the enlisted. And at the same, so on top of that, I forgot where I was going with this, but give me a second.
You talk about the PTSD, the effects that it has.
Yeah. But yeah, class, man. I remember part of my training was people spitting in your face.
And having to have the resilience to not attack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great training. I remember later on I had to use that when I had an incident with this officer that was mad I was doing my job that my commander told me to do. He came in my office cussing me out up and down. Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, I'll knock you out. I could kill you in 5 seconds, bro. He's like, I don't care if I call you a piece of shit over the phone, blah, 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 blah. I was like, You know he was white, right? You know he was racist, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you know he was an officer. He thought he was, and this nigga's gonna tell me what to do or blah. But that training came in handy. But God must have loved him and God loved me too. But I know what I could have did to that man. I was thinking about breaking his neck, pushing his kneecaps backwards, puncturing his lung. I mean, I'm a lethal weapon, man. I like the joke and smile, but when it's go time, damn. But I had a great time in the Air Force. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I served very honorably, and I made a lot of great friends and mentors and people that I was able to mentor along the way. But it comes at a price. It comes at a price, and a lot of people don't realize that, especially the kids that are that's what I was going. Especially the kids that are signing up from poverty. They're just looking to survive, man. They're just looking to get a check, opportunity, a shot at life. And a lot of times, this is what they have to pay for. This is how you pay, not just showing up doing a job. No. You may have to show up, do a job, and do war, and because that's what you're there for. So we're gonna close this one out. We're definitely gonna do a part 2 because this is actually really. I actually enjoy having this conversation with you. You know, not only because you're my brother, but because you're giving insight onto everything that's going on. But I just want to ask you one last question. Well, 2 last questions. First question I want to ask you. Take your time, please. Take your time. I'm not.
Yeah, so I just want to ask you. So, first question, you being your age now, what would you tell your younger self? And the second question would be, coming from the military and coming back into civilian life, how important is family to you now as opposed to it was before you went into the military?
Family has always been important to me in the Air Force. Before the Air Force and after, but respect is everything. So we all have, a lot of people try to act like they don't have family members that ain't shit. And that's a lie. Especially on my mom's side of the family, I had to separate myself from my mom's side because they were just toxic and it was just going to tear me down even more. and to have less to give to my daughter and my wife at the time. So family's always been number one. Sometimes you got to let some people go so you can help the people that actually need you. And that was a tough call. The other part of your question, what was that again?
You being your age now, what would you tell your younger self?
My younger self, I would say be more patient in your relationships with women. That's what I would tell myself. You know, give it more time to flourish or die, because you know I was kind of like in a different generation where, and I was in a spot where the old school generation of graduating high school, getting married and having kids, that was a thing. But at the same time, this new ratchet shit was going on. The adultery of people wanting to be in the vanity of the world that's going on. So I still have, even to this day, I still have those old school values. I still value family. I still would love to be married with a loving wife and kids and stuff like that. But in this world we live in, this world that currently Satan is running amok in, and he's got his little time, but Jesus coming back. A lot of people are lost, and a lot of people are in relationships for the wrong reasons. A lot of people are getting married for the wrong reasons. So I think if I would have took more time with the relationships before getting married, I would have been able to see things clearer and have a better judge of the character.
So you know what? I wasn't gonna get into it, but I'm gonna get into it. Fuck it. It is what it is. That's what this show is about, right? No. Because me and you haven't always had the greatest relationship, and we're in a much better space now than we were before. Thank God. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. But yes. I will let you elaborate, and I will let you explain, because you know what? We're all human and we all have flaws, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to let the people know, where were we to where we are now?
So God's been working on me a long time. He's still working on me. I was up here praying this morning, and I was like, God, please just give me a miracle. But I think I was in DC at the time. I had just got stationed out there. I came from Japan to DC, and I was excited. I was like, man, I'm in DC. My brother's right down the block in the Bronx. You know, I got everything around me. It's a lot to do. It's a new kind of vibe. I see a lot of Black people that are successful, which is why I love that area, because it's a positive influence on the community. And I think it should be emphasized more. But I remember we were having a conversation where you were like, oh, I'm coming down for a bike rally in Baltimore. A bike or car rally? I couldn't.
Yeah.
I think
it was like a motorcycle weekend.
Okay. So I was like, oh, I bet. Because I had vacation scheduled to go see my family, my wife at the time, and my daughter in Omaha, Nebraska. I was like, hey, I'll push that back so I can spend some time with you. Just let me know, blah, blah, blah. So you can stay down here, but whatever. So I remember the time came and went where you were supposed to come down. I was like, okay, he ain't called me, you know. And then next thing you know, I see you on Instagram with pictures at this rally, and I'm like, he didn't even call me. And it hurt me. It hurt me. And I built a lot of resentment, and I just didn't want anything to do with you because I was like, how could you treat someone like that who's adjusting their life with their other family for you? And especially, you know, I had a history of coming up to New York, visiting you guys, whether I was around the world and whatnot. And that was like, I was like, yeah, I understand you treating our dad like that. But I was like, man, this is me, man. I had plans for it. And it really did hurt. But I thank God for one thing I've been working on for years is forgiveness and understanding and grace. And that's what I'm very grateful for now, because I'm still growing in God. And I'm in a very good place with you now. But during that time, this is me pre-medicated. this is me pre-counseling, pre-psychologist, psychiatrist, Walter Reed Medical Center, and intense outpatient program. This is pre that. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta protect myself, my heart. That's how I'm thinking. My mind is. I'm probably thinking like, I gotta protect myself, my heart. I can't be letting my brother do me like this. So I'm gonna protect myself. So I'm gonna shut it down.
Yeah, and it was a long time too. Like, and you know what's crazy? It's like for a long time I didn't know why. Like when I finally reached out to you after trying to reach out and you ignoring me and me trying to reach out and you ignoring me again and me trying to reach out and you ignoring me. And then when we finally did respond, when you finally did respond, the answer was like, well, you know why I'm mad at you. And I'm like, I don't know why you're mad at me. You're like, you know, and I'm like, no, I don't. And then when you explained it to me, I was like, okay, I get it. You know, like I get it. It was like, you know, I wasn't the best when it came to making promises and keeping them at that time in my life because I was really bad. My friends could tell you that. They got some stories. But yeah, so it's like when we finally had that conversation, it was like, okay, cool. I think we in a good space. And then we kind of weren't in a good space still. But I think we was okay. But we really weren't okay.
God working. Yeah. God working.
I was like, well, but I don't think it really wasn't until I think that last long conversation we had a couple of months ago when we like really got to kind of like really talk and then kind of put everything into perspective and put us in the space that we are today. Because I mean, at the end of the day, literally at the end of the day, we are really like the last two Howards left. Like, and it's us. And obviously it's your daughter, my niece, but it's us. So it's like getting older and appreciating the fact that you actually have a brother who's still around. It's like, it's gratifying to be able to be back in the same space and on the same page.
Yes. You know, especially I thank God for changing my heart and allowing me to see that people can change, you know, because I think it probably also taps into that situation, probably taps into, you know, a lot of people don't know I'm estranged from my mother. You know, it's a reason we haven't talked about her this entire episode is because I didn't realize I was a neglected child until my counselor told me, and I was 30 some years old. Only time I had a relationship with my mom and as an adult and even leading up to an adult, even in my middle school years, was in regards to money and resources. That's all it was about. So I know I hold loyalty at a premium. And that means a lot to me. I know what it means, presence means. So when people don't show up for me, like I show up for them, it's a sign. But at the same time, I appreciate that you kept reaching out, because that allowed me to really think, like, okay, let's give him another chance. And I prayed on it and everything. But I was angry, man. I was I was an angry person at that time as well. Naturally, because all the shit I had been through over the years, and on top of a military career, that was crazy. But I thank God for bringing us back together. Um, and I apologize, but at the same time, I'm like, that only made us stronger, in my opinion. I think that when you lose something, it makes you appreciate it more when you if you ever get it again.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it's something you literally just said too, that I realized that we are the same, because I think I hold loyalty to a high standard too.
Mhm.
And if I feel like you're not loyal when I give, and it's like it's almost like what I put out, I expect the same,
Mhm.
and I realize that I don't get it from certain people. And and then me and you've had this conversation, so you know what I'm talking about. So it's like, okay, it's just certain things you cannot let go anymore. There's certain things you have to let go for the sake of your own sanity.
Mhm.
So,
And I just thank God for everything He's blessed us with, over the years. I don't deserve any of the stuff that I have and the opportunities that I have, but I'm so grateful, and I want to continue to pay it forward to others, especially while I dedicate myself to the youth and just the Black community and any community that's disenfranchised in general. So I can't wait till I get back in the healthcare game and actually able to start making more of a difference where I'm going to be at. So I'm looking at Houston in the next year or two, move out there. That's a really good. Seems like the new mecca for Black people, and we need a lot of help out there.
yeah, they definitely do. You gotta be careful. There's a lot of STDs running rampant out there right now.
Oh, I know. That's which is why I'm in healthcare, which is why I need to be where I'm at.
Yeah, it's a hotbed, right? It's a hotbed right now. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, man. Once again, man, thank you for this conversation. This is what I wouldn't even call this an interview. This was just a conversation between two brothers.
Okay, anytime. Anytime you want me, just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. This was I feel like in a lot of ways this was kind of therapeutic for the both of us. It gave me it gave me a lot of insight. Like we talked, but it also like I listened, but I feel like in this conversation I've listened
Mhm.
to a lot of how you felt about a lot of things, between coming from my father and just how you felt about my neglect of you, and how much family means to you and all of that stuff. So yeah,
Mhm.
this was definitely a conversation I think was needed.
Mhm. I'll say one last thing.
Go ahead.
Family means so much to me because I never had it from a child. That was the perspective that I understand that now. Like it means so much to me. A lot of people that have loving, great, perfect, not perfect, but just solid family structure. I don't. They may not value it as much as somebody who never had it, man. Who never. I can't remember the. I can't remember the last time I had a hug from my mother. But going like, come on, man. So that's why family means so much to me, because I didn't have the best family, and not even the best, not even it was just a convenience thing. So I thank God for everything. God bless you. I love you, and
I love you too, man.
hey, mom, I said hello, and I love her. Mister, I'll be out there soon enough,
Mhm.
and next year in Bahamas, right?
No, Jamaica. We was in Jamaica.
I thought that was the Bahamas.
No, I said Jamaica.
No. Jamaica's not the Bahamas. I don't know. I've never been
No,
there.
oh, bro, no, it is totally
It's
different, bro.
different.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Jamaica's not considered the Bahamas.
No,
Okay, so See, that's how ignorant I am. I was like,
which is quite ironic considering how you literally been around the world.
Yeah. A lot of work. But I've never been to the Bahamas. So I thought the Bahamas included like DR, Jamaica.
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if it's all considered Caribbean islands, but
that's the term I probably was looking for.
Yeah. Just Jamaica. Jamaica's totally different from the Bahamas. Well, I don't know how different. I can't even say I've never been to Bahamas, but Jamaica is definitely a different atmosphere.
Well, I'm ready to go. Lene said she's ready to go too. I told her already, so I can't wait, man.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me.
Now, I appreciate you for everything, and I thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast and share a little bit of my story.
No, man, I appreciate you too, man. Take care, man. I love you, bro.
I love you too.
All right, man.
Bye.